welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 336, Passenger 57 from 1992. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe, too. And this episode is brought to you by Snipex and the Snipex Alligator 14.5 by 114 millimeter manual load repeating anti-material rifle. Shout out to Snipex.
Well, shout out to Snipex and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever with us tonight to talk about this movie that is a breezy 83 minutes with us, not main feed fan favorite, but just fan favorite, Garrett Smith. Hello, Garrett.
Your words, Joey, your words. I'll let you have it this time. I'm doing well. How are you?
I am good. So now this movie, we're covering this movie basically for two reasons. Number one, because in our old question, when we used to ask like guests like 85 questions, one would say, would you bet it all on red and bet it all on black? And like almost everyone was like,
Wesley Snipes,
black, right? They always quote Wesley Snipes in this movie. And I also don't think that I got the line right. Always bet on black.
Always bet on black. Yeah.
And so I felt like we had to do it. And also of particular import to me and to patron and past guest Christian Larson is that on the VHS of Passenger 57, there is a trailer for a film called Street Night.
I remember
which is
this.
So much better than this movie.
What?
And Street Night
better?
Really, Street Night's so good. Street Night is so good.
I'm putting it into my letterbox right now.
Oh yeah, Jeff Speakman. Ooh, man, it's so good. You're not that big. Think about it. Watch the trailer for Street Night, and I dare you not to love it. But we would watch the trailer for Street Night like once or twice a month when we were hanging out with Larson. Like it's just so good. So like Passenger 57's been around me for a while, but I'd never seen it. Joe, had you seen it before this week?
No, not at all.
Did you know about it aside from like our podcast?
Always bet on black, yeah. I mean, just that. Yeah. Ryan Clark, the former Steeler, has a podcast, The Pivot, and he literally just said it when they were, I don't know if you guys have seen the Rashard Mendenhall pitch the racism Pro Bowl, the segregation bowl on, did you see this tweet that he was like, he's like, look, we should line up all the white dudes versus all the black dudes in the NFL, and it started this chaotic thing. It was hilarious.
On a recent episode, I said something like, I'm sure you saw, and you're like, Rashard Mendenhall's tweet. I'm just like, no, that's not, what? No. And
yes, that's what it was, yeah.
But you brought it up, and I didn't follow up on it, and that is crazier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and so anyways, Ryan Clark's like Wesley Snipes says, always bet on black. And I was like, oh, he's fucking doing it. We're doing Passenger 57 in like a week and a half.
I do feel like it is the kind of line that more people know than have seen the movie.
I 100%
it's an iconic
agree.
line, and I was surprised, unlike Snakes on a Plane, which waits like 95 minutes or like 90% of the way through the movie before he says the line. Here's like halfway through, I'm just like, oh, okay, I guess we're not waiting anymore for him to just say always bet on black. But, Garrett, had you seen this movie? Is this a movie that you would wanted to see? Why did you pick this on the list that I gave you?
I just wanted to see this one. I've been on
You've never seen it either?
No, I had never seen it.
That's crazy. So all three of us come in blind. That's crazy.
And I knew that line. I'm one of those people that I knew that line. I had never seen this. I wanted to see this because I've been, I feel like, on a tear lately of just like trying to find 90s movies that were like maybe like less talked about that are.
What was that Denzel one? Was it Ricochet?
Ricochet, dude. Ricochet absolutely rules. Nobody's ever heard of it. It's incredible. It's so weird and strange. Okay. Highly recommend Ricochet.
Garrett went crazy for it, but in a way that was like, look, this isn't like the best movie you've ever seen. It's just like a really, really good movie that no one's ever heard of. It was like tempered expectations, but like the high end of the high end of really good.
Yeah, and I feel this way about like Breakdown, the Kurt Russell movie where he loses his wife and has to find her. I saw recently and was like, okay, this is terrific. It's like, again, not like the best movie you've ever seen, but like when we're, I don't know, when we're playing just like AAA ball, it's right up there. It's going as hard as it can go,
The 90s of these movies
full
is like
of
what
that
hits.
Stuff.
That's what like I was in love with watching this. I'm like, oh man, like you do not get a 90s movie like this anymore.
When I'm sure I've mentioned on the podcast before, but my friends and I in our fantasy baseball league put together like the March Madness brackets of like weird different stuff. And during COVID, we did a bunch of like 80s and 90s action and comedy brackets. And the only one I think we really fully completed was the 90s action bracket, which was won by T2 because of course it was. But I forgot that we had, because I knew this was in there. Like, I don't remember what seed it is, because it feels like it's sort of, it's just like, it should be in the running, but it shouldn't be a high seed.
No, this would be
like
a low seed, right?
8 through 10. Yeah. 8 through 10, I would guess.
I forgot that we broke it down. Instead of 4 regions, we did 8 like micro regions. And so this was in the midday fair, which is just like a movie that's on TNT at like 2:00 in the afternoon, just that you watch there.
Makes
sense.
And
so the number one seed, it was only 1-8. Number one was Speed, and this was the number 8, and of course it lost to Speed. But like, it's like, yeah, no, it should be nominated, or it should be like, recognized, but it should not be like, this is not the high point of 90s action. This is just like a solid entry.
Agreed.
Totally. I was thinking while watching it that, like, I know one of the things that this movie is known for is that it's like one of many movies, including Speed, that come out in the wake of Die Hard that are just Die Hard on an X, Die Hard on a train, Die Hard on a bus, Die Hard on a plane. That's what this is. Although it is that in like a really funny way that we should like talk about in a minute.
Oh, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, what I was thinking about, though, was how that formula, and it probably goes back even before this, but I was thinking about how much all of that stuff is indebted to Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. How, like, that movie, the difference in that movie is it's a guy that actually works for the company, but it's like a fly in the ointment. It's like a guy that just happens to be there that day that is able to completely unwind this terrorist plan. That's the exact formula for Die Hard, for this movie, for Speed. It's just a guy that is exceptional at this thing, happens to be there that day and knows how to sort of unwind this plot. And then the other thing is it's full of just like an unending list of like goofy characters. Like every character is like has a thing and is a guy that does a thing, like, and they are quippy to each other. They're just constantly making little jokes at each other. Every single character, all of them.
Yeah. As I was watching this, I was so confused how Alan Rickman was not the villain in this movie. Considering you saying it's just like Die Hard, which it is, like, I was just like, Rachel, doesn't this feel like this is Alan Rickman? Like, it's just a different version of Alan Rickman in this? And she's like, yeah, dude, I don't know how they didn't cast Alan Rickman. But, yeah, I get it.
I mean, this movie is like as paint by numbers as that formula has maybe like ever been. You know what I mean? Like down to it feels reverse engineered. That's what I wanted to talk about before. Like the idea that this guy is an airline security expert, but then a few minutes later we learn that he's like afraid of flying, I think.
Yes.
Like he mentioned something about being afraid to fly. And also, like, I don't know if airline security expert is a thing really, at least not in this way. I don't.
He was going to be airline security. He was going to be the vice president of the airline.
Yes.
Because he's the head of security.
I don't want you to know. Dinkley would be offended if you say airline security is not a thing, because he is definitely holding down that plane that Hobbs and Shaw are on, flying to Samoa or wherever they're going.
True. I couldn't believe how reverse engineered this one felt, where it was like...
Well, it's also like, in that same thing, it's like, there's like, okay, there's a prison, sure, got it. There's a Shakespearean villain, cool, got it. There's a cop with a haunted backstory, got it. It's just like, let's take a little bit of everything, but they don't know how to do it all. Like...
Well, there's only 82 minutes of this movie, Joey.
It's amazing to me how little of this movie is spent on the goddamn plane.
Yes.
There was. I agree.
It takes like 25 minutes for them to get on the plane, and then 20 minutes later they're touching down. I'm like, what?
I had the same thought.
And then they're at a carnival. Then they're just at a fucking fairground.
Yeah, which, by the way, here's what I'll say about that, though. In the long run, I kind of dig that this movie is like, yeah, we're up in the air, but then we get back down. But we do that so that we can do this cool set piece at this carnival, which I do think is a cool set piece.
I think it's awesome. Yes.
And then we get back in the air, which I couldn't believe. It's like, we're going back. Here we go. Back in the air. And that allows for, again, more cool stunts. The stuff of him getting back onto the plane, hanging onto the wheel. Cool shit. By the end of it, I was like, okay, I'm on board. But then it's fucking weird that we touch down within 20 minutes to take it off.
He called the movie Passenger 57, which is a very cool name, but he is just the 57th
excellent
person.
Title. I have that in my notes, too. That's an excellent title.
You're no longer Passenger 57 when you're not on the plane.
And they don't really refer to him as
no,
like he's not like ever like lost or hidden. They just like count and they're like, oh, he's passenger 57, and then that's it.
They also don't do anything to like hide the fact that he is like with the airline.
No.
You know what I mean? Like he and the flight attendant are having like open animosity about like working together, and like he's just like just like this guy is someone, and they're like, no, like, it's not a secret that he's on board. He's just there, and when something goes wrong,
that's what is so funny about. I don't know how reverse engineered it feels. It's just like, I know that it's the same coincidence of Die Hard, but it feels more coincidental here in like an extreme way. That like this guy just happens to be on this plane this day.
So this guy is Face Off. He changes his face.
Okay, we have to talk about this. I don't even want you to continue. We have to talk about that. Okay.
It starts out, they introduce
this
the
is
villain.
also 5 years before Face Off, by the way.
Insane.
Okay. Yeah, that actually is crazy to contemplate. Because, okay, I'm a big fan of the movie The Guest, which is also lightly a face-off movie, and does basically exactly what this movie does, which is have a character say out loud that another character has had, like, the bones in their face rearranged in order to, like, change their appearance. But then we never really get any evidence of that in the movie otherwise.
Nope.
It's just that somebody has said that, and so we spend the movie thinking about that. But it never matters or comes into play, really.
Not at all.
Okay, but here's what we need to talk about it, though. The way it happens in the movie is they tell us this, that he's changing his face, that's what he's doing. And as a movie viewer today, I'm going like, okay, that's got to be important. This guy is going to turn out to be somebody else by the end of the movie. There's going to be some kind of reveal. And the next shot is Wesley Snipes on a plane adjusting his turtleneck. And I don't know if you guys had the same thought I did, but I thought for sure,
you thought he became
no.
I was like, oh, that's what this movie's going to be about. That dude's going to turn out to be the villain by the end of the movie. He's going to take it all off. I couldn't believe it.
I think
it
if
turns
that
out
were
it's
the
just
case,
1993 and people like turtlenecks.
We would have known that. Like, I think if we're like, oh my God, did you know the movie where, like, Wesley Snipes is supposedly protecting the airplane, but he turns out to be the terrorist? Like, even if you haven't seen the movie, you would know that plot twist.
Right, yeah.
I did not expect this movie to do anything, like, unique in that way, and I was right. But I also, I wish that I had, because if I had that idea, I would have been so excited, but I didn't think about that. But if I did, I'd been like, oh my, is that what this movie's about?
I was excited, but then had the same thought you did. Like, well, if it was about that, I would know that, so it can't be. But, like, I couldn't believe that was the very next shot. He's, like, adjusting the turtleneck in a way that I was like, they just said he rearranges his face. I think this guy just rearranged his face.
Oh boy,
no.
that's what we call a cut on action in a way that doesn't work.
He doesn't even rearrange his. They stop him from. They're like, he rearranges his face, and he's there, and they're like, he's about to do the face rearrangement, and then they just stop him, and he's like, oh, same face, got to go with this one now.
Oh, that is what that action scene was about. You're right. I didn't even consider that's what's happening when he's like. Yeah,
so it's completely useless.
Yeah.
There's no point to that at all. There was just like 10 minutes to just have like a cool scene of him jump out the window or whatever. And
well, like I was saying to Joe when I was like, because I watch this movie like more in advance than I normally do, and I'm like, I don't know if you noticed, the movie's only 83 minutes long. I was very excited about that. And then I'm like, the intro is a very long 3 minutes. And then they're like, how can we make this 80 minutes long? It's like, well, why don't we have him threaten to change his face and then not actually do it? And that'll eat up 10 minutes, like Joe said. Just like, okay, but, and then, like, it feels like there should be so much more you could do with, like, terrorists on a plane, but I guess they're just like, let's not figure it out. Let's just get on the ground and, like, do some stuff at the carnival.
I don't know.
I did think you mentioned a breezy 83 minutes earlier, and I was amused that even at 83 minutes, this movie has a lot of just, like, establishing shots of planes and airports and, like...
When I say a breezy 83, I mean, historically, traditionally, 83 is breezy. Not that this movie necessarily is breezy, because I don't know that it necessarily is.
Oh, it's pretty breezy. I just was amused that, like, wow, even at 83 minutes, they had to pad this motherfucker.
I know. What was the script like? That's what I want to figure out.
Long opening titles, long establishing shots everywhere. By the way, it's very cinematic. I thought the direction was pretty good, but I just was like, boy, there is some padding on this. Like, this is a 65-minute feature at best.
This movie was directed by a guy named Kevin Hooks, who is mostly an actor. He directed some other stuff, but he's not really acted or directed in anything I've ever heard of. It was written by David Lowery, who did Star Trek V, which I've never seen any of the original Star Treks, but I know the odd-numbered ones are bad, so that's not a good sign. He also wrote a movie, Obsessed, with Joe, you might know. That's the Katherine Heigl as a crazy woman.
Yes,
movie that
I watched
out about
it.
10 years ago.
I watched it, yeah.
So the guy who wrote this movie also wrote that movie.
Sick.
It was also written by a guy, Dan Gordon, who wrote Rambo Last Blood, and it was also written by Stuart Raphael, who produced not only Mac and Me, but also Tammy and the T-Rex. So he made two all-time 80s
classics
movies.
Classics. Yeah. Tanny and the T-Rex.
Tanny and the Teenage T-Rex, produced by four guys who basically have not produced anything of note, shot by the guy who seems to be Cronenberg's main guy. This guy shot Scream and The Fly and Videodrome.
Irwin, is that his name?
Mark Irwin, yep.
Yeah.
But he
That's
also
insane.
is like the Farrelly Brothers guy, because he also shot Dumb and Dumber and There's Something About Mary. So it's like, I do comedies and I do like the weird body horror and I also do like 90s action. It's just like, I will do whatever you want me to do.
Dude, I love looking at cinematographers' careers because they're journeymen in the way that like directors are not. You know what I mean? Like very few directors are journeymen in the way that cinematographers are. My favorite is Dean Cundy, who has shot like all of your favorite movies. He shot Halloween, he shot The Fog, he shot Back to the Future, and eventually made his way to Baby Geniuses and Baby Geniuses 2.
God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's awesome though. Yeah, those guys just like working.
Yes. Movie had a budget of $15 million, made 66. Rotten Tomatoes 24%, 38 by the audience, 50 on Metacritic. The consensus of Rotten Tomatoes says Wesley Snipes tries to pilot Passenger 57 away from turbulence. Pun. But even he can't help this implausible couch-class action bomber from nose diving.
Okay, I have qualms with that because
Me too.
about 90% through this movie, I looked at Rachel and I was like, I want to rent out a theater and watch this movie in a theater.
Really?
It felt like a movie that you just needed to watch with like it had so much snakes on a plane in it that I wanted to recreate that feeling of like I want to get a theater full of people that love Passenger 57 and just watch it with them together and share that experience.
My issue with this is that it's not good enough to be good. It's not bad enough to be bad. I think it's the same thing that people are knocking Rebel Moon for being just like a ripoff of every other sci-fi movie, which but I think both that and this movie are not bad. I don't think either are like a bad movie. It's just like, I've kind of seen this before. And I don't think there's anything about this movie in particular that like makes me want to champion it.
I fall right in the middle of you guys, I think, which is just like, I really did enjoy watching this. Like, I thought it was fun, but it also, it is a cheese ball. Like, it's the kind of cheesy fun that I like to have, but it's not like a cheese ball classic. Like, this doesn't reach the heights of like a Roadhouse. Like, it doesn't totally get there with the kind of, like, crazy, weird cheese ball world it wants to be. It's wavering in the middle somewhere. It's not elevating itself to good. It's not downgrading itself to bad. It's just kind of, like, it's right there in the middle somewhere. And so, like, I did enjoy it. I had a good time watching it. And I chuckled a few times at some of the weird cheesiness of it. But I sort of wished it was, like, a little more of that. Like, I wish that it hit that cheese factor like even harder. Like, every time there was like a fucking Sunday morning easy listening jazz song as the soundtrack, I was like, okay, this rules. We need more of this. I don't know what we're doing any other time, but this is great.
And like, I enjoyed it. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I liked the movie. I was just hoping for more of like a 90s staple, like an unseen gem to me. But it was just like, it's good. It's good.
It's no hard rain.
Before we get to trivia, because there's like a lot of people who were considered for the Wesley Snipes role before Wesley Snipes got it. I'll get to that in a second. But we have one crazy credit.
Okay.
So, Garrett, you know crazy credits. We've been talking about them. I think you were probably on an episode where we ran through them. There is one crazy credit for this movie. And, Joe, our streak has kind of been snapped. This has more downvotes than upvotes.
Whoa.
Uh-oh.
I know it's unusual.
Because Joe's whole thing is like, they're always so positive. People love these. This one,
hate.
I didn't read it, so I don't know what it says. I just I saw the votes.
We're gonna experience it together. Okay.
The first part of the credits scroll while John Cutter and Marty Slayton walk along the runway toward the fairground in the distance as fireworks go off in the nighttime sky. So it's basically saying credits start while the movie's still rolling.
Hey, I would thumbs down that one.
3 up, 8 down.
8 down.
8 down.
That is useless information.
What did this person do to get all this hate that made this crazy credit? I feel bad for them. I think we should send them a letter. Say sorry.
Okay, so here is what the movie almost was before it was this movie. So it was originally, do either of you want to guess who was originally supposed to star in this role before it was Wesley Snipes?
Tom Cruise.
Garrett, one guess?
How about Swayze?
Sylvester Stallone was originally the one here, and he said no.
Yeah.
So then Warner Brothers, I think this was Warner Brothers, went to, or whoever it was, whatever studio it was, went to Steven Seagal because he was on a hot streak.
Oh, yeah.
Like, here's 2 movies, pick the one you want to do. Here's Passenger 57, and here's Under Siege. And he picked Under Siege, he did Under Siege, successful enough to have a sequel.
Yep.
So then they're like, okay, so Sly doesn't want it, Steven Seagal wants it, doesn't want it. Let's get a black guy in there. So they went to Denzel, they went to Eddie Murphy, they were considering them, and then ultimately they landed on Wesley Snipes. The only other person that I saw, which actually, very coincidentally, is a Blu-ray that's right next to my desk, hold on, considered for the lead role, but turned it down due to his surgery for his career-ending football injury, the man, the myth, Brian Bosworth of Stone Cold, a movie that absolutely rules. Bad actor, wonderful action star. He was like, I would love to do it, but I need surgery on my knee. Can't do it. So then they're like, Wesley? He's like, you got it. So that was it. And the only other trivia really of note is the Tom Sizemore role, who was always crazy to see in a movie like this.
I fucking love Tom Sizemore. This dude has become one of my favorite actors in recent years. I love when he pops up and stuff.
Character named Sly Delvecchio, which is an all-time great name.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Madsen was offered that role and he turned it down. And then Tom Sizemore was like, I'll do it.
Okay, that I could feel that. That's a very Madsen role, and also like they are a similar style actor. I would say they bring the same kind of grime and attitude to every character they play.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. I can see that too. Yeah,
and that's basically all the trivia about this, which I guess is understandable because it's just like it's a movie, right?
It's just a movie. Yeah, it's just a movie.
People who are almost in it, not in it, almost a movie. It's a movie.
I'll say this. I don't know if it's as good a movie without Wesley Snipes. I don't know if I have enjoyed all of those actors you mentioned in other movies and other movies they chose to do instead of this movie. Mm-hmm. But I think he's really good in this. I think the movie does kind of live and die on his chemistry and his charisma, which he has a ton of and is bringing a lot here. And I overall did kind of like the cast. I thought I don't know if you guys paid as much attention to this as I did, but Elizabeth Hurley is fully acting out her own plot line in this movie, in the background of the movie.
Yes. But it's also still somehow useless, but very important.
I was tracking that, in the background of shots, she's having reactions to things and telling a story about her character. When the villain starts flirting with the other, with the actual stewardess, the actual flight attendant, she is in the background, getting angry that her boyfriend, the boss villain, is flirting with this girl, and she does this heel turn, flips her hair to the side and marches off. But it's all in the background. It's not, the camera never focuses on it. She's just fully performing this plot line that her character has in the background of the movie. It's awesome.
She was in it. How deep into Elizabeth Hurley's career is this?
This is very, very early.
Yeah, this is before her big break, I think. This is before Austin Powers, I think.
Ah, okay.
This is before Austin Powers. This is before Bedazzled. This is before everything that I know Elizabeth Hurley to be from. This is way before.
I didn't know if I was missing she was a starlet of some show and as a teen or something, whatever, right? Because you're right, she's selling for sure.
In terms of, let me actually just see here. So if we sort by release date, earliest first, this is her 8th thing on Letterboxd, but the first one that I've heard of. A lot of it before that looks straight to DVD or straight to TV, I guess, straight to video, whatever, or things that don't even have a poster that's cropped properly on there. But yeah, no, it's the next thing of note that she's in is Austin Powers 5 years later.
That's what I thought. I was pretty sure that was more her big break kind of Austin Powers. Yeah. The whole supporting cast is good though. There's a Twin Peaks in here. You got, what's his name? Michael Horse. There's Bruce Greenwood. You guys know Bruce Greenwood? He the thing that I think maybe you would know him from now is he was in that Star Trek movie, the J.J. Abrams one. He's in a bunch of Mike Flanagan things. He's great.
Yeah, no, I know the name. He's in a lot of different stuff. He's in a bunch of stuff that I've seen. I know the name, but I don't know him really as an actor.
He was the guy that owns the company that they're trying to make Snipes the VP of.
Yeah, I recognize that guy. I recognize this guy. It's just his face, yeah.
Alex Datcher, and I wouldn't have known her name. I had to look it up. She stars in Body Bags, which is a John Carpenter HBO or Stars movie or something from 1990, and she's really good in that. And I thought she was really good in this too. She plays the actual flight attendant, Marty.
I did not recognize the main villain, but his name is Bruce Payne, spelled like Bruce Wayne but with a P.
Yes.
His character name is Charles Rane, Rane, and the best line from this movie that I think I saw multiple times on Letterboxd is just him making, was it the psychiatrist or was it the surgeon, making some doctor say Charles Rane is not insane. It's that's a good line. That's a line good enough to build a movie around, build a character around, build an arc around. That's a good line.
Yeah, there were a few decent, just full cheeseball things that I was all right, I see what we're doing. I like it.
Why did he early in the movie fish hook his lawyer, by the way? That was something I hadn't seen in a movie in a long time, and I was like, oh yeah, that is very enjoyable. he like smashes the lawyer's face and then puts his finger in his mouth and like starts pulling it. And I was like, I haven't seen a fishhook since wrestling. Like, when do you ever see a fishhook in a movie?
This is one of those things where it feels like there wasn't really a character on the page, so the actor had to sort of like try and overact his way into a character. You know what I mean? I don't know. It was very strange. I felt like the villain character was very strange in this movie.
Everything about this movie is a little strange. Like the fact that like Wesley Snipes says he's not that comfortable on planes. It's like, well,
yeah.
Why is this your job then? Like, even if you don't like, if you're not supposed to fly or whatever, like you're not like but you're working for an airline.
Fucking Sizemore too. Then they put him in a helicopter and he's like, "Get me out of this thing. This is horrible."
Everybody hates flying.
Yeah, what are you guys doing? Why do you work there?
But like, it's hard to tell whether that's done for comedic effect. Like, I think the Sizemore thing is for comedic effect.
Yeah.
But like, is it a plot point? Is it character building? Is it?
We don't need to know. We don't need to know
any of those. Is it none of those?
It also never matters.
Nope.
There's
never
a point in the movie that he's like, "Oh shit, I forgot. I'm afraid of being up here and doing all of this crazy shit up here." Never matters.
Nope. I also do like, in terms of it feels like they don't really know what they're doing, and so like it could really do anything. And so when Elizabeth Hurley is like firing multiple bullets into guys like while in midair, I'm just like, oh, this is a bad idea. But she like hits both dudes like square in the chest. I'm like, oh, okay, guess it's not a bad idea. But then like later in the movie, they kind of Chekhov's gun to like shoot through the door, and like there's like, you know, it depressurizes, and there's a vacuum, whatever. I'm like, okay, at least we get that eventually, because like you can't shoot that many times on a plane and not have a bullet go astray, right? It's just you expect this to happen. Eventually, it does. But like, and when she first fires and it doesn't happen, I'm like, oh, huh, okay,
yeah. I also, like, the villain's plan in this movie, I know it gets, like, changed a bunch of times. That's sort of, like, out of his hands.
What is the plan?
I don't know. It's weird. When he releases all those hostages, and the one guy is like, okay, yeah, sure. And the other guy's like, oh, don't do that. Obviously, he's got a, like, he wanted you to do that. But then later I was like, did he want them to do I don't actually know if that was I don't know what his plan was when he released those hostages. Like, why he did that, if there was an ulterior motive that got thwarted later, I don't know.
I also, like, I'm no negotiator, but I also feel like every other movie I've ever seen has led me to believe that, like, if they're willing to let anybody go, you accept that deal.
You do it.
Yeah.
You take that deal.
Yeah.
But
Save
they're just
innocence.
like, well, maybe don't. It's like, no, you probably should. Like, there's like, he isn't just like a few, he lets a lot of people go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was 100 people. The Louisiana cops, he's like, I don't know if I can give you gas for 100 people.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, no, you take that deal. That's a really good deal in the hostage negotiation. It's like, usually it'd be like, give me the gas for like 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, like half the plane, if not more, he's passenger 57. They were in coach.
Yeah.
Like, that's like most of the people.
Also, a thing that's weird, like, not only is like the motivation, you know, ambiguous, I spent most of this movie unclear who was winning. Like, if the good guys or the bad guys were currently on top. I'm like, who has like, is this plan unfolding in a way that, like, we're like, oh no, the good guys got to catch up? Or, like, is it like, oh no, the bad guys are about to get, like, I couldn't tell who was successful and to what extent they were or were not successful.
That goes back to, like, what is the bad guy's motive?
Don't know.
What is he trying to do besides just, like, possibly kill people? We know that he's a terrorist that has, like, blown up a lot of planes or things, right? But he's on this one.
Yeah, they just say that he kills people, basically.
He's just a terrorist, but they let him go because he has ties to the Middle East or something, right?
Yeah,
that's what it was.
That's the other thing. Is just like Face Off a little bit has this problem too, but the stakes get baked into like personal things in that movie, which they don't in this movie. But it's like he is like just a terrorist for terrorism's sake.
Yes, yeah.
They don't say that he's like doing that. Like, a better movie is like, oh well, like, his people have been imprisoned by this other country for the last, like, 10 years.
Yep.
And this is all in protest of that. Like, a better movie, there's, like, some political motivation. There's something going on.
Monetary, that he's trying to get money, extortion, something. Nothing.
Right. Like, the twist of Die Hard is that, like, it's like a joke to them that they have political motivations. They're actually just there for money. Yeah, twist the mustache. There's none of that in this. I don't know what he's doing. He's doing it just for shits and giggles.
Did you guys catch that one of his henchmen gets on the plane as Mr. Forget?
Well, that's the guy from Twin Peaks. Yeah, it's just, it's, you know?
But I was like, excellent writing. Excellent writing.
But they don't all have fun names. Like, it's not like Forget and Remember. It's just Forget.
Just that dude.
Just one.
Yep.
Yeah, just
and
that
they
one,
explain it
somebody had a joke.
immediately that it's actually a French name.
Yep.
It's Forget. And that's it.
Yeah. That was it. That was the whole joke. Somebody
it's
just
another thing
in the
where it's
writer's
like-
room was like, I got that one in.
Oh, you could do a thing here, like it's like a heist movie or something, right? Like it's like, you know, it's like taking
Mr.
Pelham or
Pink.
whatever, right? Or it's just like, or Reservoir Dogs or whatever,
Yep.
right? But it's like, no, it's just a funny meme.
Well, I was just thinking about this. For some reason, my brain went back to the cast being pretty good for this, I thought, like for what it is. I think one of the things that Snipes is bringing to this that you get with nobody else is his like level of martial arts. Like that dude is a pretty good martial artist. I think
It's insane.
A
It
lot
looks
of
so
those
good.
fights-
I thought this
exactly.
too, bud.
It's him. You watching those fights, it's like, that's him. He's really doing this stuff. It looks good. They got good stunt people to work with him. The shit where he's climbing onto the plane, there are shots in that where it's definitely him on a speeding vehicle. I don't think it's actually him moving from one speeding vehicle to the wheel of a plane. But there are definitely shots in that sequence where it's like, it's him. He's like a part of this sequence. I don't know. I was pretty impressed with like the actual level of like physicality that he brought to the movie that I don't
No,
think
and
we
I
would have got
thought
with
that
any of those
also
other actors.
later when he's using like a putter, like a samurai sword. I'm like,
yeah.
oh, this is like a preview
Yes.
of Blade, right? Like it's just like he is adept at doing things like this.
Yeah.
Where it maybe in a better movie or something, you'd be like, oh my god, like he's really doing the thing. But here, it's just like, yeah, okay, like you kind of expect it. I don't know, but like he is it the tension and everything is definitely ramped up by the fact that like it's him. Like it's not like cleverly doubled for somebody else. It's just like, no, that's just him doing the thing, which is always the better, more satisfying way to do it.
Yeah, so this is one of those 90s movies that you go back and go like, I get why at the time this is a lesser than, but now in like the movie landscape we're in now, it's like this is a delight. We never see movies like this anymore.
100%.
This is a lot of fun.
This is why I was so high on it. I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, like just the 90s of it just hit, and I was like, oh yeah, I like this.
Yeah.
Another thing that I think is very funny in terms of the like, we don't really know what we're doing here, is that with like 25 minutes left, they capture the villain.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yes.
there's so much movie left. But it doesn't feel like it's done in a way where there's like a way for him to get out, which of course he does.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like sealed up. It's like, nope, mission solved. It's like, but there's the other guy. It's like, okay, we're going to track him down now. But eventually, you know, it's the snipe axe. It's a sharpshooter who like lets things get out of hand once again. But I'm like, there's so much, like nothing about when things happen in this movie makes any sense to me. And that was another thing where I'm just like, wait, what?
This movie was only fueled by cocaine, right? Like the writers, like it just feels like so scatterbrained that like it's like, okay, like somebody was like, yeah, we could do that. You're just like in a basement at 3 a.m. just like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. That would be really cool.
I wasn't thinking about it while watching it, but you guys are right. It's like structurally this movie is so weird where it really does feel like to me like a plug and play paint by numbers of like, we know we're doing Die Hard, so we've just got to like remix enough of the details so that we don't get accused of doing Die Hard. But then in remixing those details, you get this like oddly structured, like a movie that kind of doesn't make sense, like a movie that feels like it's been translated through like a bunch of different translators.
Yeah, Google Translate like, just 50 times over.
Exactly, yeah. And it's like what you're left with is like, okay, I could see how this was a script like 30 versions ago, you know?
One of my favorite parts of this movie is the carnival parts, right?
Hell yeah.
Are carnival rides vehicles?
Oh.
I wrote down, is a
Good
Ferris wheel a
question.
vehicle?
I feel like I have controversial opinions on this to begin with based on conversations you guys have had with your guests. Because, like, to me, I don't know why, but I think a vehicle needs to, like, actually get you somewhere. And, like, you would have to reasonably actually use that. Like, to me, a surfboard is not a vehicle because I don't, even though I guess conceivably you could go to the grocery store on a surfboard if you lived in the right community. I don't think you would. I still think you would take a scooter or walk or whatever. You know what I mean? So, like,
well, so you're saying that like it's not only about getting to a place, but getting to a place with a reasonable cadence.
or just like you would actually do it. Just like a person in the world would go like, yeah, I'm gonna surf to the grocery store today. They wouldn't. Nobody would. It's just like not. So I don't. To me, that's not like a vehicle. And I don't think they qualify as vehicles. The carnival rides. They can't get you anywhere. And even if for some reason there was a coffee shop at the top of the Ferris wheel, I just think you'd use some other method to get there.
Then I was thinking, what about bumper cars?
Whoa. Okay. This is very interesting. You've really thrown a wrench into this. bumper cars, because they are in fact cars,
vehicles. They are cars by definition
outside of the arena. Because aren't they like?
They're
but again, like a trolley.
They need the connection
too. A trolley is
to the
a
top.
vehicle, right?
They do need the kinetic thing at the top. They need that.
The electrical thing.
You can't just drive.
Trolley. Trolley counts.
Right, but trolley is designed to get you like functionally from one place to another.
Bumper car is functionally designed for me to bump into Joe.
Right.
Yeah, if you had a big enough bumper car arena in the center of your town, then it would most definitely be a vehicle, right? So
if you could drive the bumper car off of the bumper car thing and keep going, then I would agree it could be a vehicle.
I think you just need a big enough ceiling to connect the electrical thing to, and then that's what I said. Like if like your whole town square was a bumper car, there was a grocery store on one side, your house was on the other. You could use the bumper car to go to the grocery store, like you said. I think we're restricted by the ceiling, not the car.
Yeah.
Why are there not more town squares made of bumper cars?
I want to know. That'd be a lot of fun. Can you imagine if you lived there? Property values would be sick.
It still comes back to the question of like, would you go to the grocery store that way? And I think for like the first week that you lived there, you would, because that's exciting and fun. And you would quickly be like, no, this is horrible. I don't want to be part of this tourist attraction. Every day I need to go get eggs.
With no sun, because you're just in just a covered arena that you have to get between every.
And then you got to get your eggs back through the fucking bumper car thing. Like,
what you're not addressing is that the steering wheel turns. You go in reverse if you turn the steering wheel too much. So like learning how to functionally drive a bumper car effectively is actually the hardest part.
You just taught me something I didn't know about bumper cars. So
you've never been in bumper cars?
I've been in
like
bumper cars.
I
didn't know if you turned them. You just started reversing.
Yeah, it's like if you go so far one way, then it goes in reverse. That's like the whole. There's no forward and reverse in a bumper car.
I don't remember
you just,
that.
Like, keep going.
I haven't been on one in a while. I don't remember that.
Oh man, you should open up your mind.
So Joe, what other vehicle? The other thing that I have here, since Garrett I think disagrees, but I agree. I think Ferris wheel might be a vehicle. Is fake airplane for a dramatic reenactment a vehicle?
No, it's just not going anywhere.
Yeah, like if I draw a car, that's not a vehicle.
Yeah.
What if you build a car?
If it moves, it's a vehicle. If it's stationary and cut in half that I can like shoot props in, shoot movies in, that's not a vehicle. You're about to get
into some strange territory here. Like unquestionably, a vehicle has to move, right? Like unquestionably, it has to move.
No, if it's like a former train in a museum, that's a vehicle, Garrett, and it's not moving then.
Wait, why move. Though? Then why isn't what Joey just said as an example a vehicle? Because it has the potential to move?
They're using it as a stage. That like the airplane thing was a stage with like it's not. If it was an actual airplane that they put in and then made a stage, it was a vehicle. It was a vehicle.
So if it was a decommissioned airplane, it would be a vehicle. But if it was built from scratch to be a stage, no.
What if you built a car with no engine?
You have a car with no engine. I don't know what you mean.
But is that a vehicle?
If once you put an engine in it, then yes.
So the engine makes the vehicle?
No. Not necessarily.
So I'm still trying to pin this down. I feel like every time this comes up, it's that the definition is very, very...
So list of vehicles, definitively. We've got plane. We've got helicopter.
Yes.
And the only other one that's not really, it is a car, but it's a different kind of car. We get like an Arrested Development-esque stair car that explodes in this movie.
We get a stair car. We also get an ambulance. And Wesley Snipes steals a motorcycle at one point, too.
Oh, right. A police motorcycle that Wesley Snipes rides. Yes, I have that bolded. I just skipped over that. Yes, I have that.
Did you guys, speaking of the stair car, did you guys notice the shot of like two guys like underneath the stair car where they're doing like the build up to like, all right, when he comes out, we're going to shoot him, but like not until then, on my mark or whatever. And they're doing all these shots of different people around and showing us how they've got everybody stationed. There's like a shot of two guys under the stair car that then we never see again. They're never referenced again. And it was another case of I was like, oh, okay, I guess these guys are important. I wonder why they're under the stairs, like what they're going to do with the stairs.
Nope.
And then nothing. It doesn't. Actually, what happens is the stairs blow up, and we never really know if those guys are still on the stairs.
Also doesn't matter.
Also blown up, or what?
I do. And in like 82 minutes, like all of these things, we just made the other 25 minutes of this movie to make it an hour 40. And they're just like, fuck it. We don't need any of that.
Yeah.
None of that necessary.
My only other note that I want to share, and it's a character actor, a guy that I might recognize from things, but the Podunk Sheriff, Chief Biggs, is played by a guy named Ernie Lively, who is of note because he is Blake and Robin Lively's dad.
I have no idea. That's insane.
Wow.
So Blake Lively, of course, Robin Lively from Teen Witch. Iconic role, iconic movie. But yeah, Eric Lively, just the sheriff, is just like, he's just like one of those, like, that guy. Like, he plays.
So this guy hangs out with Ryan Reynolds now. They do Thanksgiving together.
Yeah.
Right. I liked that guy in the movie, by the way. I thought he was another good side player.
He's an animal control officer in the Stephen King adaptation of Sleepwalkers. He plays the motel clerk in Turner and Hooch. He is does he play? He plays Blake's dad in Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants 2 and 1. So he plays, some Nepo father there. But he's in Fire Down Below. He's in the Nicolas Cage movie Looking Glass. He's just like a that guy.
What is the opposite of Nepo? Like, what is the up, not down? Is it still Nepo?
Nepo doesn't denote direction.
It doesn't?
Nepo just means that you got a job because someone you are related to. Or
I thought it always meant down.
That's why Nepo baby. Baby means down.
Okay.
Nepotism is just being selected for something based on something other than merit.
Okay.
They cast him in those movies because giving Punnett Square, like, he is her father, so, like, casting a father, why not? But yeah,
if he's an actor too, exactly, yeah. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. He's a Nepo daddy.
Garrett, do you have other notes for Passenger 57?
I have not a single other note for Passenger 57. I'm very excited we got to the face-off of it all early.
I have 2 fast connections.
Go for it.
One, the car chasing the plane.
Yes.
Is very F6. And
sure,
2,
yes. Mm-hmm.
I also really like him, wrong team bitch, kicking him out the door, a la Letty.
Yeah.
And those are my two fast connections.
I did have the thought that something we haven't done in the Fast and Furious universe yet is, like, get onto a plane in a creative way. I don't think there's a lot of
drive onto it.
Yeah, there's, like, driving onto a moving plane. There's driving out of moving planes. But this movie had that, like, and I've seen it in a few other things too. The, like, grasping onto the wheel as the plane takes off. I feel like these are things we need to eventually get to in the Fast and Furious universe. This kind of, like,
why do I imagine Jason Statham's riding a plane? But that was in, like, one of his
Mission
other
Impossible
movies.
Rogue Nation opens with Tom Cruise jumping on the side of a plane.
Yeah.
I feel like Statham was riding on the side of a plane in one of the movies we watched too.
Maybe. I think, Garrett, the issue with your thing is, like,
it's not big enough.
There's no car. Yeah. They need a car.
No, he literally goes from a car to the wheel of the airplane in this movie. It's a Fast and Furious segment. They just, like, we've not done that in the Fast and Furious movies yet.
Well, they do somewhat. I mean, in 6, when they're shooting the harpoons, they're not going from car to plane, but they're using car to bring down plane.
Yeah, for sure. I guess maybe people would be like, we've already done this because of the runway sequence. But
yeah, I don't think they can do airplane again.
Yeah.
I still can't believe they really haven't done rocket ship like they did in the game in Crossroads, and they have the sort of
rocket
like
car,
yeah, but they haven't done.
I was thinking the same thing with Garrett. We've seen Bionic Man, but we haven't seen a face-off in Fast and the Furious yet.
We thought
that's what I thought was going to happen.
It was going to be Letty and Cypher, but they're just, like, in a hospital somewhere.
Yeah. I wish we would we need a face change to recast someone in Fast and the Furious. Vin.
Boy, we will talk about that next week. We will talk about that next week.
What if that's how they retcon Cena back into the universe, and they say the reason he seems like such a different guy from 9 to 10 is that the Cena in 10 is actually a dude wearing a Cena mask and is not.
And he killed him in the real Cena's alive.
That's right.
No, but he wouldn't have taken. They wouldn't have given Baby B to.
But they don't
evil
know.
Face-off Cena.
Maybe they don't know.
Dom would have smelt it or something.
Maybe this is what Hobbs is going to be about.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Well, let's watch the trailer for Passenger 57. Passenger 57 original theatrical trailer posted by Warner Brothers 9 years ago. Look at that.
Properly
869,000 views, 1 minute 55 seconds long.
I'm ready whenever you are, brothers.
Gary, so you're good?
Yes. Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1, play.
Ramsey wants me to hire the best person available to head up the counterterrorism.
I do love a Tom Sizemore movie.
God,
Rest in
he's
peace.
so good. I don't know how he gets this stuff to come off like so casually.
They finally captured the world's most dangerous hijacker. Now,
The most dangerous hijacker in the world.
Oh, I did have the thought early on in the movie that like maybe the reason they explained the face thing was that this guy was doing. Oh yeah, the kid.
Why? I thought he was part. That was like my like. Okay, this kid's gonna like save the day or get fucked. Something. Nope. Nothing.
Nope.
Just walks off the plane when they let the hostages go.
Garrett, what were you saying about the face?
I just assumed that like maybe the reason they did the face thing is because like that actor is doing nothing with his face while he's acting, and so they had to explain that.
So that old lady who mistakes him for Arsenio Hall, apparently there's another trivia that said like Arsenio and some other thing was mistaken for Wesley Snipes, like as a nod to this movie, but it's just like no, that old lady's racist, right? Like it's just
Yeah, just racism.
Two black guys with high top fades in the 90s.
Tell me you're good at this.
I'm the best. I love that line too. I like action movies that I haven't seen that I can complete the line to.
Yeah.
That's always like that's a good metric for how much I like it.
I think maybe like with the kid thing, like a thing this movie could be doing, but I don't think is throwing so many variables. Like you'll never guess how this plays out, and like none of them are like. It'd be fun if one of them was the case, but like none of them are the case.
Right.
Exactly.
Do I remember that the leather jacket is just something he found under the plane?
Oh, I don't remember. Maybe.
I don't remember. Maybe when he's like finding the grenades or whatever. He picks up the grenades. Does he?
Yeah.
Like.
And then he never uses them, as far as I remember.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I do think, if I remember right, he just like he's in turtlenecks the whole time, and then they're like under the plane, and as he's down there, something he finds is a leather jacket that he puts on and then refuses to take off for the rest of the movie.
Passenger 57, what can you say? Let's play the Letterboxd game. So for reference sake, Mad Max Fury Road, one of the most popular films on Letterboxd, has been seen by 1.7 million people. Passenger 57 from 1992, directed by Kevin Hooks, starring Wesley Snipes, Bruce Payne, Tom Sizemore, and Alex Datcher, has been seen by how many people?
I'll start us at 300K.
I was gonna go 175.
You are both way too high.
Whoa, really? I thought
Because,
this
like we
movie
said,
was,
everybody
like, popular.
knows the. We know everybody knows the quote, but nobody's
seen it. You're right. Okay.
Here are just for reference. This has nothing to do with the number, but activity from friends. My friends rated this movie 3.5, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3.5.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a movie.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, 200.
Well, Joe was 175 was too high.
Oh fuck. Okay, 100.
100. Joe,
83,000.
you're still both too high.
You're kidding. 50.
Yeah. 42,000.
You're both still too high. One more guess.
Okay, 12,000 people have seen this movie.
24.
57. Precisely 57 people have seen Passenger 57.
27,157. So you got 57 right, but 27,157. Average rating of a 2.9. Overwhelmingly, the most popular rating is, you guessed it, a 3.
A 3.
Out of those 27,000 people, how many have this in their top 4 favorite films of all time?
57.
Oh, good guess. No, it has to. 17.
You're both too high.
7.
12.
You're both too high.
5.
This low? 3.
5. It's 5.
Yeah.
We are going to go
dude.
to
Nailed
Hot
it.
Takes Marcus at Hot Takes Marcus. The greatest film ever made. 5 stars.
Okay, that is a hot take, Marcus.
And
Yeah.
someone commented on the review for this movie and said, username checks out.
Yeah.
Hot Takes Marcus, greatest film ever, right? He just said greatest movie ever made. It's his number 2 favorite movie.
Okay.
The other 3 are all action movies. 2 are superhero. Neither is Marvel. 1 is a superhero movie you will probably never think of as a superhero movie.
Say The Dark Knight is 1.
No. But The
Okay.
Dark Knight is in this movie. I mean, it's Batman's in this movie, but it's not The Dark Knight.
Is it 89 Batman?
No. They're all... Well, so both these superhero movies are from the 2000s.
Okay.
One from the 2000s decade, one from the 2010s.
But none of them are Marvel. It's not a Hellboy.
Nope.
Oh, that's a good guess, though.
Let's focus on the one. There's a DC movie in here. His number one favorite movie is a DC movie.
And it's got Batman in it, you're saying?
Batman is in it.
Is it the Snyder Cut?
It's not the Snyder Cut, but you're not far off.
Batman v Superman.
Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Oh, right. I forgot that there's more title movie.
So Hot Takes Marcus watched this and gave it 2 stars, and then he said he watched it again a year later. He said, "I was wrong before. The Ultimate Edition is a work of art from beginning to end."
Oh,
5 stars.
Okay.
Number 3 is a superhero movie that you would not think is a superhero movie, and a hint, although it doesn't really narrow it down because I've done a lot of podcasts. Mike and I did a podcast about this movie.
Why are you saying you wouldn't think of it as a superhero movie? It's not like Unbreakable because you're saying it's from the 2000s.
Correct.
It's not Super, that James Gunn movie.
Joe, the clue for you, the better one, is that Mike and I have done this. The star of this movie, the titular character, is not someone that Mike and I covered, but but their co-star is someone that Mike and I covered.
Like Charlize?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, Charlize is the co-star of this movie?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's Hancock.
Hancock.
Ah, yes, I would have never guessed that as a superhero
But it's a superhero movie.
It is. You're right. I always forget that one. Like, that's everybody forgot that one.
Hot Takes Marcus says, unlike a lot of opinions and reviews I've seen, I think the second half is just as strong as the first half. I think Hancock's backstory and the revelation of his relationship with Mary and how tragic it is. Loved it when it first came out. Still love it all these years later. Someone comments, just says, worst film ever made, I think.
Okay.
And then he says, this ain't the Dark Knight. This guy loves Batman v Superman and hates the Dark Knight.
Okay, good. Great.
Now, number
Hot
4.
Takes Marcus is awesome.
I don't usually read reviews, but like the reviews for these are pretty good.
Yeah, these are
Number 4 is a movie from the 90s that Joe, I don't think he didn't write a review for this, which is unfortunate. I don't know if you will have known, Joe, but it is the genres of this film, I want to make sure I get this right, are comedy, action, adventure.
Okay.
And there is something that the main character does. The main character is a criminal. Okay. And there's a very unique thing the main character does that is the only reason this movie is worth watching. Like something he does while he's committing his crimes, he has a little bit of a flair that makes this movie worth watching. Otherwise, totally forgettable and not very good. But there's one thing he does while committing crimes. You're like
the Wet Bandits?
Yeah, kind of.
But not the Wet Bandits.
1990s. It's one of the big 90s action stars, but not somebody considered for this movie. So not Stallone, not Seagal, not Denzel, not Eddie Murphy. Another one.
And he does a wacky little thing.
Garrett, you have not seen this movie. It's on your watch list.
Okay. I feel like if I haven't seen it, I definitely don't have enough information yet to throw a guess at it.
It's a Bruce Willis film.
Okay.
The name of the movie is his character's name.
Oh, this is
I don't know.
Hudson Hawk?
Hudson Hawk. And
the
thing he does is whenever he commits a bank robbery, he does it to a song and like times out exactly to the song and dances his way through the song. And when the song is over, the crime is done.
Oh, that's awesome. That's fucking Baby Driver.
Yeah, the movie's not good, but that's
I was going to say
twist.
Baby Driver. Yeah, it felt very Baby Driver. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a cool idea.
Hudson Hawk.
This guy had a wild-ass top 4, dude.
Hot Takes Marcus. Batman v Superman, Passenger 57,
Jesus.
Hancock, Hudson Hawk.
We haven't had one like that in a while. That's just, like, insane.
That's an appropriate top 4 for a guy that refers to himself as Hot Takes Marcus.
He's on X at Hot Takes Marcus. Oh, no, he is, but he deleted his account, so...
His takes were too hot for X. That's a bad sign.
Oh, well, shout out to Hot Takes Marcus and shout out to Garrett. Thank you once again for joining us on this episode to talk about Passenger 57.
Love being here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
what do you have
always,
going
brother.
on? What do you want to plug? Where can people find you? Do you have any new podcasts in the work? Anything that you want to promote that you've already done? Or should people just look in the archives for fan favorite Garrett Smith on Too Fast, Too Forever?
Yeah, check me out on Too Fast, Too Forever. That's the best place to find me these days.
Do you have a favorite movie, not favorite or favorite episode, but a favorite movie that you've watched and covered for this podcast with us?
Whoa.
I don't remember what you've done. Actually, I could look.
You know what? I think the one that comes to mind, I just can't remember the fucking name of. The one we did that was Charlie Sheen and Andrew.
Oh yeah.
What's his name?
L.A. Confident.
No
what
Man's
is it called?
Land.
No Man's Land. Yes.
I really liked that movie.
Dude, I was just thinking about that the other day too. That's a really like it's a deep cut, right?
Yeah. That's a good deep cut movie.
You've
What
done
was
Hobbs and
that?
Shaw with us.
And The
you
Wraith.
did Tokyo
The Wraith.
Drifter. The Wraith is really good. You did
Yeah, I
Tokyo
was just thinking
Drifter.
about that. Yeah.
You did Cars and Tokyo Meter on the Patreon.
Cars is my favorite Garrett
You
episode.
did the two Crank episodes.
Oh yeah.
You did No Man's Land. You did Hell or High Water.
Oh yeah.
You did Find Me Guilty. You did
Oh.
Megaforce for the Patreon.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then this episode.
Well, now that
We'll
we
be back
reviewed
next
them
time.
all, I can tell you definitively Tokyo Drifter is my favorite movie on that list. That is a
Yes,
terrific.
but-
Tokyo Drifter's damn good movie.
No Man's
though.
Land.
Yeah.
And also, of course, Cars Ka-Chow.
Cars Ka-Chow.
Ka-Chow.
By the way, my nephew is obsessed with cars. So, like, after that episode of me...
I got the Cars Crocs, bud. With
Oh,
the
yeah?
light up when you ka-chow. I was ka-chowing all over the place.
Yeah, I think you have the same shoes as my nephew.
I probably do.
Yeah. So, like, it is interesting that I hate that movie and, like, couldn't even, tamp down my hatred for this podcast. And immediately my nephew was like, it's my favorite thing. It's the only thing I watch. It's the only movie I will watch with you. Okay, good.
Did you ask him how they exist inside the vehicle?
No, I don't think he's ready for that
You
thought
should
yet.
just break his brain.
Yeah,
His child brain will just be ruined forever.
it really would. He's like one of those kids that's too smart. If I put that idea in
That's
his
what I
head,
mean.
I don't know
Yeah,
what would
yeah.
happen. Yeah.
You're gonna if you don't want to watch it anymore, just be like, how do you
Yeah.
think he gets in there?
Yeah.
What part's his ass?
Joe, our next episode is A Life in the Fast Lane. We are covering Too Fast, Too Furious, minute 97.
Ooh.
Very exciting. But also, before we wrap up, I do want to give a shout out to our patrons, Cassie Wilson, Nick Burris, Alex Ellenen, Justin Kleiman, Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party, Wes Hampton, Jerry Robinson, Dan the Duke, Hayden Renato, D. Donato, Michael McGann, Lane Middleton, Lindsay Lewandowski, Nate Milton of the Kings of Sport, Jason Rainey, Tom Price, Mike Gallier, Josh Buckley of Whole Lotta Wolves,
Yep.
Michael Moser, Christian Larson, Tara Newman, Aaron Willows, and Natalie Absolute, Randy Carter, Josh Goularm, and Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Montez. Thank you all for supporting us at the $5 a month level or above. Not in the immediate future, but we have about a month and a half left in this lap, and we have like 6 bonus episodes coming your way. So if you're not a patron yet, go sign up at toofast2forever.com because we've got a lot of bonus
For
episodes coming up.
$1. For $1.
$1 or more if you want to give us more money, but for $1 a month gets you genuinely already close to 50 bonus episodes. Like the next one we do will be our 50th bonus episode, which will never be on the main, including at least 2 with main feed fan favorite Garrett Smith.
I love that I don't even have to say it anymore. I thought about it earlier today. I was like, I'm
You
not going to say it
inceptioned it
once.
in.
I'm going to let
You
Joey
inceptioned
do
it
it.
in.
Joey will
Which
do
one?
it.
I think you want to be main feed, and I'm like, no, you don't want to be main feed. You want to be just fan favorite because, like, I don't know. Who knows? There's at least 2 episodes behind the paywall: Megaforce and was it Cars? Did we do Cars as a bonus episode? I don't know.
Maybe.
Whatever.
Maybe. Yeah.
Whatever. But anyway, for all things Too Fast, Too Forever, go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/toofast2forever, or at toofast2forever on all the platforms. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Check out our Patreon page at toofast2forever.com and our store at cageclub.me/shop. And come back next week for another Life in the Fast Lane. I'm Joey Lewandowski,
I'm Joe too.
and that was Garrett Smith, and we will tell you all about it
When we see you again.